Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us today for Industry Insights featuring Bloomberg. My name is Christine Russell, and I work in the Center for Career and Professional Development, and I see all the undergraduate College of Business students. I'm joined by my colleague, Allie Irk. Would you like to introduce yourself, Allie?
Yes, I am Allie Irk, as Christine shared, and I am the Associate Director for Graduate Student Career Development here in the Career Center as well. We're so glad to have our special guest, Stephanie Santora. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me today. As Ali mentioned, my name is Stephanie Santora, and I'm from Bloomberg LP. I'm currently the entry-level recruiter on our talent acquisition team for the Americas. So I've been here with Bloomberg for about 3 years, and I cover our early engagement opportunities, which includes our externship for sophomores, our internship for juniors, and our full-time opportunities for seniors and new grads. I also am usually based out of our Princeton, New Jersey office for when we are in the office. And I live at the Jersey Shore, and I am a Seton Hall alumni.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there any information that you want to share more about Bloomberg or about pertaining to your role within the company?
Sure. So here at Bloomberg, we are a financial and news services company. So our job is to provide our clients with the most up-to-date, fast information on what's currently going on in the markets right now, or really anything going on into the world. And so our job is to provide transparent information, and whether that's from, being somebody who's very client-facing and actually helping our clients make their financial decisions, or working directly with the data, or being somebody who's going out in the fields and actually helping sell our products. And I will go into all of those roles shortly, but that's a little bit more about who we are and what we do.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful. So I wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the types of positions that Bloomberg recruits for.
Sure. So today I'm going to talk about 3 of these positions, and all 3 have internship and full-time opportunities, and 2 of them have externship opportunities for the sophomores on the call. So the first one I'm going to talk about is our financial analytics and sales role. And so this role is based out of our New York headquarters as well as our San Francisco office. And so what the role entails is you're going to start in a very extensive training program where you're going to learn about the terminal inside and out. So this will be in the classroom type of training or on the desk. And so you'll engage with our clients on a daily basis. So whether that's ensuring that they use the terminal properly, as it's a very extensive, complicated system, or it's making sure that they have the support that they need to make those big decisions. And so what this program does, it is a pipeline into our sales division. And so you're really learning who our clients are, what our products do, the ins and outs, what are typical questions that we get. So that way we can understand what our clients need before they even think about what they need. And so this will then set you up to become a sales representative. And so our sales division is a little bit different than maybe what you think of in terms of a sales role. And so you're going out and you'll have a territory or a client base that already exists, that already has our services, familiar with what we do, and you're going to be helping them leverage the terminals to the best of their ability, as well as maybe train incoming classes that start within their companies and organizations, as well as sell additional things off of our professional services. Now, our professional services consist of the terminal, which many might be familiar with, but in addition, there's also data sets that come off of that, trading platforms that come off of that, enhancements you can make. And so that's what our job of a sales rep does. And now this opportunity is also offered for sophomores. And so the sophomore externship really gives you a peek into what this department does. And so it's a 3-day program compared to the full length of an internship, where you'll have the opportunity to interview for that following year's internship. So you can potentially start your junior year already buttoned up for your junior summer internship. And so the next opportunity I'm going to talk about is our Bloomberg customer support. So our BCS role for short is also in our New York office. You will be providing extraordinary customer service to our clients through inbound calls, outbound calls, and chats. And so I know this might sound like just a regular call center, but it's completely not that at all. You will be troubleshooting and resolving terminal-related issues. You'll be transferring customer calls. You'll identify and research different ways we can help improve our customer service and think about what maybe common customer issues we have and how we can make sure that we're delivering to the best that we can. And also you'll be working on our proprietary computer software, so you might be fixing some nuances on the internal system as well. And so for our Bloomberg customer support role, you do need to speak another language. So you need to be fluent in either Spanish, French, or Portuguese. That way we can take customers from all over the world. And then the last role that I want to talk about is global data. And now this is the second opportunity that we do have an externship for. So global data is in our Princeton, New Jersey office, and you're responsible for the acquisition, the processing, and the publishing of all of the data on the terminal. So you'll be able to leverage your technical skills and your data analysis skills to help us identify workflows, inefficiencies, make recommendations on enhancements, as well as help better serve our clients. So you're working with data all day long, but there's also a client-facing part as you become kind of that subject matter expert in terms of the data. And so those are the three opportunities that we currently have on the entry-level side. Global data and analytics and sales being for sophomores, all three for internship opportunities, and then all three again for full-time opportunities.
Thank you so much. That's incredibly helpful to hear the descriptions of the different types of roles. I think that's very helpful. So one of the things I'm thinking about that we'd love to hear more of your perspective on is the importance of company culture. And also if you could describe the culture at Bloomberg.
Sure. So I think company culture is so important. I think that it's just as much as, important as understanding the role, right? What do you want to do in your day-to-day? But besides that, what kind of environment do you want to be in? What type of people do you want to be a part of and work with? I think, you can love what you do, but if you don't like how the company runs or what they stand for, or even the team dynamic, you can easily kind of not want to be there anymore. Your work might not be as great. So I think company culture is huge. And so here at Bloomberg, some of the things that I think about when it comes to our culture is that it's fast-paced, it's collaborative, it's innovative. Here, our company, we put our employees first. And so what that means is, the very first day you walk in those doors, you're going to go through extensive training, whether that's in any of our entry-level programs. I know I talked a little bit more specifically about the analytics training, but all programs you're going to go through a couple of weeks of training. And that doesn't stop there. We really want to help you with your career progression. And so we have immense training opportunities to grow your skill set. And whether that be, a hard skill like coding or an Excel course, or it might be soft skills like communication, leadership, or public speaking even. And so these opportunities are what we call Bloomberg University. And so you have the opportunity to do it whether it's kind of self-paced, or we have some of the experts in the company actually teach these classes, or we've even brought in outside resources to make sure that we are getting the best training possible. And so not only are our people important, but that's really the kind of model we have here at Bloomberg. And so, yes, our mission is to provide accurate, transparent information around what's going on in the world and the financial markets. But beyond that, we want to do better in the world. And here at Bloomberg LP, we're really passionate about philanthropy. And so you'll have the opportunity as an individual employee to get involved in different philanthropic events. And you'll be doing that with your team, maybe individually. Sometimes you can bring family and friends as well. And so if that's something that you're passionate about, this is definitely going to be a place for you. And even from our profits go to some of these philanthropy organizations. And that could be around government issues, education, the arts, environment, public health. These are all different organizations we want to give back to. And 80 cents to every dollar that we make goes to one of these organizations. So that's something kind of a bigger picture on what we think about here as a company, and something that's really emulated in our culture. I also talked a little bit more about, words like fast-paced and collaborative and innovative. And so we're just as fast-paced as the markets, as cheesy as that sounds. We want to make sure that we're delivering quicker and faster than than the markets are actually coming out with. We want to make sure that our clients have all the information that they possibly can to make those business decisions. And now things might change constantly. You might be working on different projects from day to day. You might be, changing how your workflow goes, how you acquire that data, how you process it, or maybe how you work with a client. And so it's constantly changing, and it's fun in that sense as your day is never going to be the same. And then from a collaboration standpoint, here at Bloomberg, you're always going to be working with people, whether that's clients, whether that's your fellow teammates, or maybe even other departments. And so if you like working with people, if you like being out in the open, you're going to very rarely work on a project all by yourself. If ever, it's very a collaborative effort. And if you enjoy that piece and being around people and working with people and kind of sharing new ideas, that's exactly what we want to hear. And then from an innovation standpoint, your first couple of weeks, we're going to ask you, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think this is efficient? Do you think that there's better ways we can do it? We want to hear from you. We want to hear about your creative ideas. There's no silly idea. We have the motto of, it's so crazy it might just work. We want to hear about those things. And so, although, we are quite a big firm, we have that startup culture where we're constantly thinking about the next big thing and how we can improve for our clients, for ourselves, for our efficiencies. And so I would say those, that's just half of kind of what our culture is like. But if you can see yourself being in an environment like that, I would definitely recommend Bloomberg as a place to work.
And I think that's very valuable to think about all of those different aspects, like the opportunities to collaborate, innovate. I loved how you talked about professional development and philanthropy. So all great things to be considering. Yeah. Wondering if you could offer any strategies or ways that you think students could identify if they would be a good fit for a company.
Sure. So I think here at Bloomberg, some of the things that come to mind that, no matter what department that you're applying to, we look for individuals who are creative, critical thinkers, detail-oriented, and are excited about the intersection between finance and technology. For us, if you have the motivation and you have some of the skill sets, the basic foundation, we can train you on the rest. We can't train you how to be collaborative on a team if you don't like working on a team. We can't train you to want to be interested in the financial markets or to want to get excited about, the new technologies that we're using. So those things are some of the core values we look for. And then, besides that, what sticks out to us on a resume are, your extracurricular activities. Are you involved in any clubs or, cultural groups? Did you have a leadership role? What kind of coursework did you take? We don't look for necessarily a specific major. It's more the skill sets you've gained from the courses that you've taken. So, if it's, around any finance knowledge, if it's, if it's one of our more technical roles, maybe, programming languages. If it's around one of our language, speaking roles, did you study that in school, or are you a native speaker? We also look for, project management and organizational skills. So, what kind of role did you play in a project, or, what type of leader are you? And these things, sometimes it's hard to show on a resume, right? Like, how can I write what type of leader am I, or how can I write, what role I played in a project? But by, kind of being concise around, your project, what you did, what the mission was, what the action was, to what your result was, you can write that in two, 3 sentences, and that helps us kind of gain some knowledge on, okay, this person knows what they're talking about a little bit. And so, they kind of have the basis there. We want to see them come in and see what they could do. And so I think, some of those general skill sets are what we look for. And then, having that specific skill set depending on the role, if it's client facing, have you worked with customers before? Is it technical? Do you have any experience with programming language? Is it, our customer service role? Can you speak another language? Those nuances additionally come with that. But I would say, as a basis, those are some of the things that we look for.
Excellent. I think there were a lot of great points in there about how to articulate your skills and experience in your resume. And I kind of have a follow-up question to that. I'm wondering if there's any other recommendations you would give to students to promote their personal brand through other venues beyond the resume, maybe LinkedIn or other things that you would suggest.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when I think about a personal brand, I think about, how others perceive me. And so when you're thinking about your personal brand, I always say, think about three things. What are the three things you want to come across in an interview? What are three things that maybe your family or friends would describe you as? And how can you emulate that in terms of, social media or, how you come across? And I think that, I compare it to almost like a business brand. When you think about like the Starbucks of the world or the McDonald's, no matter if you're at Lehigh University or if you're in Hong Kong, you have that same experience. It's the same look, it's the same feel, you know what to expect. And that's exactly how you want to be perceived as well. And so, think about those three things when it comes to, your abilities, your style, how you conduct yourself, and really what makes you unique, what makes you you. And then how can you uphold that in such as like a LinkedIn? Make sure that you use your LinkedIn as a like professional business card almost. You want to make sure that you're not only, talking about, what kind of career opportunities you want, but what makes you you? What's unique about you? Make sure that you have your picture up there. Think about like your summary, your skills, your accomplishments, your volunteer experience. If it's relevant and it's something that, it emulates your brand, put it on there. It's okay if you did it as a senior in high school or, your senior year in college. That's something that you gained a skill from and that now you can apply that to your professional career. And I think too, what a lot of people don't take advantage of is things like LinkedIn. You can add links like of your, of your projects that you've worked on, or like a campaign maybe that you worked on, if it's like a marketing visual that you can provide. Put your work up there as long as you feel comfortable with others seeing it, because that's an easy way to show, hey, look what I can do. And, I'm not even, showing, it's all coming off from my social media. So think about ways that you can constantly emulate that brand off of whether that's social media, your interactions, and, keep it concise, keep it, just some 3 ways that you want to represent yourself, and then keep that consistently going.
Those are great tips about promoting your personal brand. So Christine, do we have some student questions?
We do. We actually had one sent in, and it was, does Bloomberg use an automated tracking system? And if so, how can a student ensure that their resume is selected?
Sure. So just like Bloomberg that we're innovated, we have created our own system. So it's homegrown, it's in our terminal, and I can tell you that a real life recruiter is looking at every single resume. From my personal experience, I spend a lot of time, whether it's 100 resumes a day, whatever I have to do, I'm looking at every single one. And that's how my team operates. So, regardless of your, if you're nervous that like AI is taking control and we're looking for keywords or something like that, we're reading the whole thing. We're looking at the questions that you answer, any assessments that you need to complete. We're looking at everything. And then, going off that helps us share talent within our company as well. So I specifically cover our global data group. So I'm looking at the global data resumes. And so I might see a resume that I think is great. Maybe they just don't quite have the skills for data, but I think maybe they're a better fit for another department. And so that's why we take our time to review each resume. That way we can, make sure that we're giving the candidate the proper time and maybe the proper position to be looking at as well.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So we have quite a few student questions, so I want to just make sure that we can get through them.
Sure.
What does the typical interview process look like for internship opportunities, and what is the time frame?
Sure. So our time frame usually is about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on when you apply. So our applications are open for our internship and full-time opportunities on Handshake if you're interested. And so what the process looks like is you will first fill out your application, which includes sending in your resume, answering a couple of questions based on the role, as well as completing a PLUM assessment, which is a psychometric assessment that it doesn't take too long to complete, just kind of like a personality assessment. And once you do that, we'll review your resume, and then we will send you a pre-recorded video. So these questions will be around the role itself, asking you about the skills that you have for the role, your understanding of the role, etc. Then you will come through a super day. So our super day consists of maybe some assessments specific to the role, as well as some interviews with the team. And the super day is also a really good opportunity for you to interview us. We'll have panels, we'll have opportunities for you to really understand our culture, especially in this virtual environment. And so it's a good opportunity for you to learn more about the role and kind of everything you're getting yourself into. And then our final round is usually with a manager of that group.
Excellent, thank you so much. How many opportunities are there for interns to move to a full-time role after completing an internship?
Sure. So those 3 opportunities I talked about, they're what we call our training program. And so it's designed so you have this almost like a 10-week interview for your full-time role. And we don't have a certain quota or a number that we look for every summer. If all of our interns are rock stars, we're going to ask everybody to come back as a full-time employee. So there's no certain number we look for. It's really your performance, and it's on an individual level. So it's how you perform, how you grow, how you take feedback, and if you can see yourself in an environment like Bloomberg.
I think that's wonderful. Should someone who is a second-year student but would be graduating in 2022 be looking at sophomore or junior opportunities?
If you're graduating in 2022 in the spring, I would recommend the internship. If you're graduating in 2022 in the winter semester, like December time, I would recommend the externship, because our hiring cycle, we usually hire between February and September. So if you're a December grad, usually the February timeframe looks best for you.
Does Bloomberg provide visa sponsorship for international students?
So not for the 3 roles that I did mention. What I didn't touch on was our engineering opportunities. So we do have a software engineering role as well from the entry-level standpoint. And that role we do work with international students, but unfortunately not for those other 3 that I mentioned.
And there's actually a follow-up question about the software engineering role. It says, what would you say differentiates candidates from going towards software engineering versus data within Bloomberg?
Sure. So our software engineering role is about building applications. You're building out the functions of the terminal, essentially. And so if you see yourself as kind of just like coding all day long, that's definitely the role for you. Data is more around the data management. And yes, you're going to be using some coding skills to enhance our data sets, but it's more so around troubleshooting the data. You're also going to be client facing, and there's going to be a lot of different projects more so. So I would say the two main differences is, software engineer is definitely, coding all day. And then data is a little bit more around managing data, and then kind of diversifying that with some collaborating and coding projects.
I just appreciate these opportunities so much, because it's really incredible to hear it from you. You know, you get to lay this all out. So when students are looking at different positions, it just means the world to them to be able to have this information.
Sure.
This question is really great. Could you describe a typical project that a global data intern would potentially work on?
Sure. So the way that our global data internship is laid out is the three aspects of the role that I just talked about, actually. So the data management piece, the collaboration client side piece, and then the more of the technical improving processes piece. And so you'll have projects along each of those lines, but one of them, for example, that we did last summer was we had a news generated project. So they had to come up with using the data sets and how that would generate automatically into our news function, and how that could immediately come up as soon as the data is acquired.
Wonderful. Aside from major areas of study, are there specific skills and competencies on which Bloomberg focuses for its successful candidates?
Sure. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think in terms of collaboration, again, like thinking about, we look at, did you enjoy working on maybe team projects you did at school, or, do you enjoy working with large groups? We look at leadership skills, and when I say leadership, it's not necessarily you need to have that leadership title, like you were the president of a certain club. What we mean by leadership is, are you excited to be here? Are you going to lead by example? What motivates you, and how do you, are you somebody who actively listens? Do you give other people a chance to speak? Things along those lines. And those are assessed in our assessments during our super day. And then I think another big one is just an interest in the financial markets and, being knowledgeable about that. So I always recommend individuals to, study up a little bit on what's going on in the markets right now. And, you don't have to be an expert, but having an interest in it and a general interest in it, right? Not just, something that you studied, an hour before your interview. Think about a little bit more in depth of, what you like about the financial markets, and be able to explain that in an interview, regardless of the role that you're applying for.
Love it. Thank you very much. Is the software engineering role open for sophomore students?
Yes, I believe they take sophomores and juniors. So 2023 graduates and 2022.
Okay, and then another follow-up question for a sophomore. How, as a sophomore, can we distinguish ourselves since we are constrained from community service and certain leadership experiences?
Sure. I think it's about, your coursework. Again, thinking about like your transferable skills. What did you gain in a class, or what did you gain from maybe a club that you're a part of? Or, if you can't get out and you feel a little restricted in this virtual environment, what else have you done maybe outside of school? Are you taking additional courses? Are you going out into your community? Are you a part of any national clubs? Things along those lines are some of the additional things we're going to look out for sophomores.
That was all of our questions. And I just want to thank you so much. I feel like I learned so much just in this amount of time. And it just really helps us to understand Bloomberg, understand the opportunities there. And we had one question about the values, but I believe you really touched on that. And just about students identifying their fit in that company. And this was absolutely wonderful, Stephanie. I just want to thank you so much. This was great. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for all of the students who joined us today. This will be on the Higher Lehigh YouTube channel. So if you wanted to go back to it and view any specific areas, it'll be there for you. But again, thank you so much. And we appreciate the partnership, Stephanie.
Thank you.
It's been great having you on Industry Insights. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.